Okay. So let's start straight away. We don't have much time left. Um, so we had one question left from yesterday, so that I have simply added on top, and then the questions for today are there. Volunteers for shepherding. And yeah, I was talking about labs, so I have yeah, sent an email to Mary ma'am, and she said she'll come back to me. With she'll have to see what we can do because the TAs are no longer free at that time. This is what I've been told. So we'll have to find out a way. Okay. Yeah. So for today, Shepherds, we are going to discuss lecture 7.2. Okay. Yes. Uh, Yash is there. I mean, this is good. You have the internet connection issue is fixed now.
Yes, sir, I guess.
Great, great, great. So Yashvardhan, Dhruv, Parmeet, any more? I need at least three. I can. There can be more. I know. I have no issues. Okay. So let me just add your names. Yashvardhan, your batch and roll number.
Sir, IT 13.
Okay. 13. 13. Okay. Dhruv.
CS62.
62. Okay. And Parmeet.
IT 15.
15. Okay. So let us start. The lecture for today is
Tejas is also there.
okay. Sorry, Tejas, I was not looking. Tejas, your roll number and section.
Sir, IT 25.
IT 25. Okay. Okay. So let's start, guys. There was one question that was left yesterday, so I'll just start from there. A window. Okay, and then you guys. So this is this actual and formal parameters, and from there, then we'll start with the things for today. Okay. So you guys can start. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys can start.
कोई स्टार्ट करना चाहता है?
Yeah, start with the actual and formal thing, and then
Dhruv, you can start today, I think.
anyone can start. Okay. So let's just get the people rolling.
I'll start. So parameters type of variable in the brackets besides the functions. So formal parameters are the parameters we use in the function declaration. जब हम लोग functions को define करते हैं, जैसे functions लिख के हम लोग नीचे functions को define करते हैं, उस समय जो हम parameters use करते हैं, they are called the formal parameters, and they have a convention that we have to include the declared type, that is the data type of the parameters. It is compulsory to include the data type of the parameters in formal parameters. The actual parameters are used while declaration of function prototype or while calling of the function. जब हम लोग फंक्शन को उस फंक्शन को जब हम लोग किसी और फंक्शन में या फिर मेन फंक्शन में इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं, दे आर कॉल्ड एक्चुअल पैरामीटर्स, एंड इन दीज फंक्शंस you don't actually have to define return types of the parameters. You either can define or you don't have to define. It totally depends upon you. That's it.
Any queries on this? I don't think there should be, but just if there are any queries, you can ask. So okay, in which case, in this case, we'll actually move over to the next lecture, that is lecture 7.2. This is about scopes of variables, especially global and static variables. I have seen that not many people have watched the video, at least on YouTube. So, and this was one of the points, right? I mean, when I remove these restrictions, right, that I'm not going to pick people randomly for shepherding, this is really what happens. People stop looking at the lectures. So from next week onwards, I'll simply start putting these surprise quizzes, not just quizzes. There'll be surprise quizzes. So in between a lecture, they'll simply pop up. I'll tell you that there is a link on the chat. Go and answer the quiz on the chat, because otherwise I'm pretty sure people will not study. So so and quizzes will be there. There will be no holds barred at that time, kind of thing, like that. Basically, it will be something that you have studied till yesterday. So be prepared now, from now onwards. In the next week onwards, I'll start putting these quizzes, because I don't see any other way you guys are going to because coercion is the only thing that I feel is working. Otherwise, people simply stop caring, and you will be the ultimate loser in that case, because if you don't learn at this stage, uh, believe me, it's only going to get even more difficult when in later semesters. It is going to be even more difficult for you. So that is why I'm just trying to push you guys. um, so anyhow, so not many people have watched the lecture, but still we have to continue with the process. So from here onwards, we are going to discuss lecture 7.2. This is about global and static variables, and you guys can continue from here.
Shepherds, somebody know what are auto variables? Can continue.
Okay, so when we define variables or declare variables in C, you basically have to give the type, right? You say int k equals 5. Auto variables, what they basically do is you will write auto, then your variable name, and you will assign it a value immediately. And then depending on the assigned value, it will decide the type itself. That's basically what a auto variable is.
Auto variables, I guess, when we define a variable directly into any block, then it actually goes to the automatic storage class. So I guess those are auto variables, and they are automatically allocated a particular part of memory depending upon how much size it requires. They are automatically allocated number of bits, and when upon exiting the block they are defined in, they freeze up the memory. Their scope is limited to the block in which they are defined.
Yes, that's one more thing about auto variables. You can't define global auto variables.
Yep. So guys, any doubts?
Yes, Shreya is asking about storage classes. Can you please elaborate?
Okay.
So Ria, I'd probably send you guys a link I mean, basically, there's just one particular appendix in your reference book. It's like 1 page long only, 1 or 1.5 page long. That will actually give you a good idea of all the storage classes. But for now, so for example, there is another storage class called register that we have not discussed. Um, so if we discuss all the storage classes, it will be a bit difficult. But what I'll do is in fact, I'll just let me open the book and tell you the storage class.
I know of two storage classes, auto and registers.
Yeah, so you can discuss this, and then where is it? There was a yeah, you can discuss. I'll just tell you guys the actual appendix number. You can discuss till then.
So auto storage class is a type of storage class. Their declaration is generally inside a function or a block, and their memory is allocated in a storage. That's it.
So as Tejas told that we have to write auto, then we have to declare variable. So is it necessary to write auto?
It probably is
Yes,
necessary.
Sanskruti. It's necessary. It's like a keyword. Just like int is a keyword, you have to write auto.
No, actually, the point is auto is automatic. If you don't write anything, so it's like this. Auto means whenever you are declaring a local variable, and if you
Yeah.
even if you don't put auto, it's basically automatic. So auto is not necessary to write. It's just that it's implied, right? Auto means implied. I'll just share the link. You guys can continue. I'll just share you guys the link of a page in your book where these things are written in a very in a very short thing. I'm just trying to find out that page, and then I'll send you guys the page number. Just read that page. It's only a 1 page thing, and you'll get to know what it is. So you can actually go ahead and discuss the other questions till then.
Okay, so global variables are actually declared outside of any blocks. They are not declared inside any block. They can be declared inside any block. We have to declare them outside of all the blocks and so that they can be used inside all of them.
Yeah. So basically, if you remember scope from, I guess, this class or the CP class, when we write a function or a for loop or anything with curly braces, that's a scope. And when you declare a variable inside of a scope, that variable is limited to that scope. So basically, when you're declaring global variables, you have to declare them outside of any curly braces.
Guys, any doubts on this?
And I'm just going to show you guys this particular. So it is appendix number. What is it? A8.1 in your book, and this actually tells you the storage class specifiers. Okay, auto, register, static, extern, type def. We'll discuss type def after we have done structures part. But so these are the storage class specifiers. It's appendix 8.1, A8.1, and that's it, right? A very short description. So just read this whenever you find time. I'll just put it in the chat as well. A8.1. The version, the edition that I have, it is page 210. Okay. uh, so whenever you guys find time, Ria and all others who are having some issues, just read this much part and you should get. It's a very small explanation. Okay. Okay, so I'll just reshare that part. And this book, right, the one that I just showed you guys a screenshot from, I think Yashwardhan may have sent it to you guys on email. So this is a reference book, okay? Don't study from it as of now, because it might be a bit too difficult to understand. But it's a reference book. Reference book as in there might be certain questions for which what exactly is the language standard. If you want to know that, then you can read the book and figure out. Okay, but I do expect you guys to read this book before the end sem exam. Okay, before the end sem exam, just read the first chapter of this book. Called, I think, a tutorial introduction to C. So within one chapter, there is like the introduction to all major concepts of C in just one chapter. So before your end sem exam, do pick up this book and read the first chapter only. Yeah, so there is a question from Akanksha. What is it? What is possible in Python?
Yes, Akanksha, can you please elaborate?
Sir, she's saying that can we convert a local variable into a global variable?
Convert.
Yes, I guess no.
So
It
convert
might.
as in you want to change the scope? Is it what she's trying to say? So you want to make the variable accessible to other functions? I mean, how do you convert something? Uh, so I'm not really a Python coder, but Python is a different type of language. Okay, anyone would like to answer? Sorry, I'll let you guys answer.
I don't know what you mean by conversion, but you can just reuse the data type or change the data type from local to global. You just declare it globally, then it will work. Like, I don't see any difference here.
So Akansha, can you point us to a some sample Python code? If you have it, then send it over to me. I'll have a look and I'll probably get back to you, because this conversion thing, I don't think it is probably what you're probably not able to elaborate it in that fashion. So you know, just send me some sample code in Python over email, and I'll reply back to you. Okay, so we can do it for C, C++ as of now. C++ also, all these things that we are discussing, it is applicable to C++ as well. In fact, in C++ you have a little more than that. You have something known as a scope resolution operator that is not there in C. So once you declare a local variable with the same name as a global variable, in C it becomes hidden. The global variable is no longer accessible. In C++ you can still access it. Okay, so what you can go. You guys can continue from there.
Sir, I wanted to ask something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, here what do we exactly mean by auto variables? Like they are, we don't mean like those which are assigned the data type automatically by the initializer.
Not
Like,
the data type, it's about the memory, the place
yes, sir.
where your variable is getting stored. The auto variables are basically the variables where you declare these local variables in the functions, right? Their storage is within. Okay, we have not discussed this, but there is. I'm sure some of you might have heard the term. So there is a place called stack. Okay, so some variables are stored in stack. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So auto variables are those which are getting stored in stack. Okay, so what happens is, as soon as your stack frame is removed, those variables go away, right? I mean, so they are automatically assigned and they are automatically freed. Okay, this is the idea, and that is why you actually don't need to use the auto keyword. I mean, auto is like auto. I'm not sure if I can come up with any example where you'll have to use the auto keyword explicitly. I don't really know. Maybe there is some weird case, because C is a very weird language. Then maybe some specific use case for which you need to explicitly use the auto keyword. But I have never used auto keyword. That is what I'm trying to say. And in my whole life, I have never used auto keyword. there might be some use case here and there, but usually you don't need to use auto. Auto is just automatic. Whatever storage you get for a variable, when you declare it, that is automatic storage.
Okay, sir.
And yeah, and any more questions on? So what questions have we discussed already? Auto variables we have discussed. So now we are in global. I think we are already discussing all these things. So what are global variables? Sorry, where are global variables declared? This is the next question.
So, sir, I guess we answered. Global variables are declared out of all the blocks. We don't declare them inside any block so that they can be used.
Accessible to every function.
Yes, sir.
So any doubts on that? It's simple, but still I want it to be explicitly told that global variables are declared outside all the functions, including main. Okay. So any queries on this? It's a simple thing, but still. Okay. So otherwise we can move to question 3. How does a static variable differ from an auto variable?
Variable can be the static variable can be declared outside as well as inside the auto variable is always declared inside the block. By the static variable, by the word static, it means that it is allocated into the memory, while the auto variable is only temporarily allocated in the memory.
So we can use the auto variables only inside the scope in which they are defined, but static variables are kind of we can use them everywhere in the program. Like they are permanently allocated the memory. So as long as the program is running, they don't free the memory. They are allocated.
Hello.
Yep. Yes, you are audible.
I was asking that I have written a code in the chat. When I declare this as a global variable, a character array, it throws an error. And when I use constant in place of n and m, for example, say 100 and 100, it doesn't show an error. Why it shows error when I use these variables n and m for
You have
declaring
to
an
firstly assign some values to n and m. You can just use variables. They must have some value before before, like you know that we have to declare the size of the array before declaring it. We have to
No.
define the size.
The thing was that I have to declare an array of n comma m character array. So user gives the input to n and m, and in the main function I have entered the
You
number
have
integers
taken
from
it.
scanf.
Yes, I understand. You have taken input for n and m, but you can declare the array after taking the input. Like if you write this, and
Yash, can you explain again what have you done in the code?
Actually, I have created an character array as a global variable, and these n and m are also global variables. I have to use these variables and array in multiple functions, so I declared it as global. User enters the values of n and m in the main function. Okay, then all the things which I have to do in the array are done. But when I compile this code, it says that these n and m cannot be declared as as a global variable. So if I use some
see,
constant integers in place of n and m, it doesn't throw an error. So I'm just asking
see,
why it throws error.
uh, the compiler compiles the code line by line. So it first sees integer n to where was your code? Char s n and m. Then it sees that n and m have no values, but you have declared an array with the size n into m. So that's not possible. You have to take the input. Only then after taking the input, the n and m variables will have some values. Then you can declare an array with the size n into m. Before that, you can't, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Also, guys, the why exactly are you guys facing this problem? You're facing this problem because the issue is that the modern compilers, uh, they'll allow you to declare something like this. So if you write something like int arrmn, the problem is they actually allow you to do this, even though the standard C language does not allow you to that. Okay, if you remember, I told you guys this, that this is something that standard C would not have allowed you, but because the modern compilers have become far more forgiving, they actually allow you to do this even when m and n are variables. um, the problem is, even if m and n are variables, when you actually create the array, at that time you do need some size. So this is just basically just getting evaluated as value of m and value of n, they get pasted there. The problem is when you are declaring these, so this int arr, what was it, m and n, right? And you've just done int m and int n comma n. So you have not defined m and n. Yes, that is the problem. So definition means you have basically reserved some space for the variable, and the variable has been assigned some value. Declaration means that you have simply said, okay, I've just, I'm going to use a variable like this later, but don't allocate any space for it. So the problem is this, that because you are not providing any value for m and n, that is actually a declaration, and there is no space allocated for m and n as such. So there are no values that compiler can simply go and paste at that array declaration thing, right? So this is the major issue. um, Let me also tell you what is the best solution for these kind of use cases. Okay, the way you handle these use cases is using the pointers. If you are declaring a two-dimensional array, you have to declare int asterisk asterisk arr, or if it is a single dimensional array, you declare something like int asterisk arr. Then you use malloc. Okay, you use malloc to allocate your arrays. Okay, if it is a single dimensional array, you have to allocate you have to use malloc just once. If it is a multi-dimensional array, you have to use malloc in a loop. Okay, so for I equal to 0 to I equal to m, and then for each iteration you have to do a malloc and then assign a pointer. So this is usually what we do. If we want a variable sized array in C, you don't try to create it like this. It's just that probably the modern compilers have spoiled us to the level that we try to do stuff that we find you know we start getting errors. But the issue is, you should not try to do this anyhow. Okay? The proper way to do this, when you want a variable sized array, is to use malloc. And you create probably a global integer to pointer, or pointer, asterisk asterisk integer pointer, and then you use that to store your two-dimensional array. That is the idea. Okay, so there were some things that that was going on in the chat. I did not check. What is it? Mm, yeah, because this an, right? Uh, I think in some compilers it is possible that when you, as soon as you write int n, this is all outside the function, right? Int n and char things, but then cin cannot be outside the function. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly are you trying to say, Ishwardhan, but yeah, the idea is this, that it is a compiler specific thing. Whether you can or cannot do this, it depends on how your compiler is processing that. But it's always a better idea to not try to do that. It's always better to, that if you want a variable sized array, go for this malloc based solutions. That is the standard way. Okay, and if you are using C++, then there is this new operator also, right? I think new operator can take a variable in there. So you can write something like ARR equal to new and then square brackets M, something like this, right? I mean, and where M is a variable. So if I'm not wrong, the new operator is, it can actually do things which are similar to your malloc, something like that. But I'll actually check it out. I know I've been away from C++ for some time, so I'll have to check how does the new operator work for the modern compilers. But the answer to yes question is use malloc in these cases. Don't try to create arrays like this. That will anyhow be a problem with different compilers. It might work on yours, but it may not work on someone else's compiler. That is the issue. Okay, so I think that part is clear. Uh, what is the next question? Yeah, so this is just about a scenario, right? So and by the way, is it clear now that what exactly is a static variable? So static variable is something that retains its value.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir. Uh, I have been having a lot of connection issues, so I have not been able to follow through
It's
a lot
okay.
of conversations.
It's okay.
But we were discussing global and static variables at some point, and conversion between them. So, sir, what was extend? You mentioned it very briefly in your lecture that we use extend sometimes to use to make a variable global, or to it is usable in multiple files at the same time or something like that.
Oh, extern. Yeah. So extern keyword is something that we use when we want to use a particular global variable in multiple files. So what happens is something like this. I did not want to discuss it at length because I thought it might be a bit confusing for students. But the idea is something like this. In many cases, we actually split up our C code across multiple files. And what happens is if I declare a global variable, it's not just accessible to all the functions within my C code file, but it is actually accessible globally. So let us say if there are multiple files which are being linked together. Again, I'm not sure how many of you have watched the digression lecture on linkers. Because it was a digression lecture, I did not see there that many people watched it. But if you have watched that lecture, you would know what linking means. Okay, so linking essentially means you are going to bring together code from different sources and just make one executable out of it. So when you are linking code from different places, your code will have access to the global variables of each other. That is all the files wherever global variables are, they'll become accessible to the other files as well. It's just that you'll need to create a declaration, okay, not definition, but you'll not need to put a declaration for any global variable that you are going to use in some other file. So let us say you defined a global variable in a file called a.c, and you want to use it in a file called b.c. Then there you just have to provide a declaration for that variable using the extern keyword. So let us say the global variable was declared in a.c as int I. So then in b.c you have to write something like extern int I semicolon. That's it, right? So then you will now get access to that I variable that was declared in a.c. So this is where we use extern. But as I said, if you are not splitting your code across multiple files, then extern, it's I mean there's no use for extern. I mean, just declaring something outside all the functions will make your variable global and accessible to all the functions. Extern keyword is only applicable when you have multiple files. So this is why I did not put too much of stress on extern. Okay, there is Mohit, is it fine? Is it like, are you getting what
So basically, sir, we usually use it in if like something is being developed, so
yes,
multiple people are working on it, so they can
yes,
use the same variable
yes,
again.
yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm not sure whether I have included it in the syllabus, but at some point of time I would want you guys to and let me just check up the syllabus Have I included these build things in the syllabus? Uh, structures. No, I removed it at the last time because I actually sent this syllabus to some of my friends in IIT, and they said you've already burdened students with a lot of syllabus. They said don't include anything more than what you are already putting in putting in. So I decided to remove it, but otherwise I would have shown you guys what a make file looks like. Okay, some of you who've been working on Linux, they know what a make file is. Okay, so sometimes you actually download some code and you make it, right? You build it. So for that you need a make file, and there you will see that the code is split up in multiple C or C++ files, and then you run one command which builds an executable that you use. I actually wanted to show all these things to you, but then I guess I've already taken this programming course far too ahead. I know it should not have been so advanced anyhow. But yes, Mohit, to answer your question, yes, many a times when we are developing a large application, we split up our code into multiple C files in a certain fashion, and we will discuss it, some of it, when we discuss header files. I will discuss something about header files. So that day I'll probably show you some examples of how to split code across multiple C files. But and this extern keyword will only come in handy when we are doing that. Otherwise, extern keyword is not really that useful. If all your code is within the same C file, you don't need extern. Okay, sorry. So there is some discussion going on in the chats. I hope you guys are able to answer yourself, or some friend of yours has answered. But if there's any more queries left, then please unmute and ask.
Sir, would you answer Gaurav's question? It's in the chat.
Just a
I
minute.
have same
Just a
question.
minute. Just a minute. Gaurav's question. Gaurav. Can we take input there only where we input, as in you want to do something like scanf, Gaurav? Is this what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir.
No, that you can't do. So you have to understand that you cannot actually write. So the only kind of statements that you can write outside a function is the statements which are like definitions, okay, declarations and definitions.
Sir, array initialization also.
Yes, you can. You can initialize the array as well. Okay. So everything that is about declaration, because initialization is basically a kind of definition. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So definitions are allowed, uh, but you cannot, for example, write a scanf statement there. That you cannot do.
Okay, sir.
So any more queries, guys?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I had doubt in difference between static variable and auto variable. It is just that means both are defined inside a function and we cannot access them outside the function. It is just that value of static variable is stored permanently. So what is the use of it, because we cannot access it outside the function? So why is it stored permanently?
Yeah. Have you seen the example that is there? That yeah. So this is one of the issues that many a times you just want to keep a particular value somewhere so that you can access it later, but you don't want to share it with all the functions. Okay. A common example is, let us say you just want to maintain how many times a particular function was called. Okay. So that, if you want to do that, you just declare a static variable within that function, and you keep on incrementing it every time that function is called. Okay. So then that is kind of a local variable to that function. You cannot access it outside, but its value is retained across multiple function calls. Okay. So this is the example that I gave in the slides. So essentially I'm saying that it's kind of a tick-tock thing, right? So in stopwatches you have this button, right? You press it and the clock starts, and then you press it and the clock stops, something like that. It is not really a proper stop clock, but basically what I want to figure out is, if I'm calling a particular function multiple times, I want to figure out the actual time difference between the invocations. So what I'm trying to do there is that I have a variable which stores the current timestamp, and whenever the function gets called again, I find out the current timestamp, um, find the difference from the last stored timestamp, and now I can tell you like what has been the difference, how many after how many milliseconds is this function getting called again, something like this. Okay. Let me also tell you frankly that I have usually never used static variables, because everything that the static variable can do, you can achieve the same thing using a global variable as well. It's just that if you make them global, they'll be accessible to other functions as well. So unless you have a very peculiar use case where you not only want to keep the values intact across multiple function calls, as well as keep the variable hidden from other functions. If you have some specific use case like this, then static variables are a good choice. Otherwise, you can do everything that you do with static variables using a global variable.
Sir,
Yeah.
so we use we can in conditions of a loop, we use sometimes a static variable like init I. We can use multiple times just to you can say run a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
that is
no. So essentially, the point is, do you want the value to be retained across function calls? This is the idea. That if you feel that the same value of I will be required in the next function call, then only it makes sense to you to make it static. Otherwise, auto variables are fine.
Okay.
Right. So loop counters are what I mean. You use them to run a loop, and then maybe after one loop is over, you want to use them again, right, in the next loop. But then most probably you will reinitialize it. You'll start from 0 again, or 1 again, something like this. So that and plus it will be accessible within the same function, right? And you won't really be requiring the same loop counters to be used when the next time you call that function, right? You don't want the value to be retained. That is the issue. So yeah, loop counters probably are not that good a candidate. But some kind of counter, okay, counters like how many times the function was called, that seems to be a good candidate to make static.
Okay, sir.
And so auto variables and local variables are somewhat similar. It is just we don't have to mention data
Yes,
type in auto
yes,
variable.
they are exactly the same. They are exactly the same.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So I guess the last one we are anyhow discussing more like when do we need global, when do we need auto. So yeah, then you guys can. There are some questions going on in the chat. If there is anything that you would like to discuss, then just unmute and ask. Yeah, so I keep getting on this point, right, that many a times there will be many things which are actually compiler specific. It will be about a version of your GCC, or the standard, the C standard that is being followed. So yes, guys, this is a problem with studying C, that at some point of time you will actually have to uh, dive deeper into what the standard says. This is the issue, because the compilers may not be standard. So yeah, that is an issue. Whatever I'm seeing on the chat, it looks like you guys are discussing something that worked on some compiler but did not work on another compiler. That is a very common instance. Okay, it happens multiple times with C. It's just that you have to live in the C world like that, and that is why the more modern languages, they are far more standardized, right? So if you use Java or Python, that yeah, even C++ might actually have this problem, because it was not really meant to be a platform independent language. Modern languages are meant to be platform independent. whereas C, C++, they were not really supposed to be platform independent. They, a lot of things have gone in gone since they came into picture. So it is possible that there might be some type of standardization. And if I am here, we might actually have a look at C++ in the next semester. I mean, I'm if anyone is there, you'll probably study C++ in the next semester anyhow. Um, so you will get to know more about C++. Okay, I hope things are getting resolved in the chat. You guys are able to solve each other's problems. But if there are still any issues left, you can ask. We have run out of time as well. So if everything is fine, if there are no queries, we can end the meeting. Okay, so are there any more? Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I saw on GFG, sir, you gave the homework about other variables as well. So I saw about register variable. Can you elaborate on it?
So register, you guys remember in the first week, week 0, right? We talked about registers, right? When we were discussing this assembly language programming, right? I told you that there is a program counter, there is an accumulator, and there could be other registers, right? R1, R2, those kind of
Yes,
things,
sir.
right? Right. So essentially what happens, what is the use of these register storage class? First of all, register storage class is not really a guaranteed thing. Okay, it's a request that can you please give this particular variable, can you please assign this particular variable some space in a CPU register. Okay, the idea is that CPU registers are the highest kind of that, I think the highest level in the hierarchy of your memory when it comes to the access time. So basically they are the fastest places where your CPU can find a particular value. So if there is something that is in register, so you try to put a variable in register when you feel that this value is going to be very frequently accessed, and if I can somehow make this particular variable, this particular variable's access time smaller, then my performance, the performance of my application, will be greatly enhanced. That is the idea, that
Sir,
otherwise.
how
Yeah.
does it decrease the runtime?
It's like this. So whenever you try to read or write to a particular variable, by default it will be in your RAM, right, in your main memory. So the read and write operations will involve going, fetching a value from the RAM, storing it in a temporary register, changing it, and then storing it back. Okay, so this is what we saw in the first assembly language program, that you have to load something from a memory location, manipulate it, and then store it back. So this is what happens with your regular variables. Now if I say, make this variable reside in a register, a CPU register itself, then the load and store part goes away, right? The CPU knows that this is the place, this value is already in the register. Okay, so that load and store statements are not required. So your performance, right, so whatever you were doing in, let us say, 3 cycles of instructions, you may be able to do the same thing in just 1 cycle of instruction. You don't probably understand what an instruction cycle is. You'll understand more about it when you study computer organization. But the idea is, if you actually get a register variable, as I said, it is not guaranteed. It is more of a best effort thing. So you can request the compiler to allocate something in a CPU register. But if you do manage to get it, then it will be probably 2 or 3 times faster to just accessing that variable, right? I mean, not your whole program, just so usually the best candidates to make register variables are these loop counters. Okay, because they are supposed to be accessed in each loop, and they are supposed to be updated after each instance of the loop. So in that case, it makes sense to probably make try to make them register variables. But as I said, it's not guaranteed. There's no guarantee that you will get a register storage. If you don't get it, you'll get it back to auto. But it's more related to performance. to be honest. It's not really about functionality, and even the performance thing, you will only be able to see the difference if you are running a huge application, okay, something that is expected to execute millions of lines of code. Then only you might actually see the difference between register and auto. Otherwise, you can probably treat register pretty much like auto.
Yes, sir. Sir, can we make a register variable also global?
I don't think so. You can. I think I've never tried actually. To be honest, registers are. I have never used them. Let me be very honest. Whenever I've written code, I never really wrote. It's something that these people in the embedded programming sphere, right? They might actually use something like register, because in embedded programming, performance is very important. But usually when we write code, it doesn't really matter much, right? I mean, and it's not just matter, it's like you don't even know if your request was accepted or not. So there's no point trying it anyhow. But yeah, I don't know whether you can declare. To the best of my knowledge, you cannot. Register is something that was expected to be for only local variables. But as I said, right, these days the modern compilers have become very forgiving and very accommodated. So try it out. Tell me what happens. If it doesn't give you a syntax error, then it means that it is possible. It is completely different whether you get it or not. But it may be possible if it doesn't give you a syntax error.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, thank you guys. And please, someone who would like to do, I had some 4 or 5 volunteers last time who would like to merge these two videos. Did we have anything specific in that meeting? Or maybe I'll just upload this one as the lecture, because we didn't really had any conversations in the WebEx meeting, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'll just upload this one as the meeting lecture for this time. Okay, guys, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.